Hi guys, on this installment of PJ Cook Sexy Food, we're going to be making chicken marsala.
Okay, so to start with for our chicken marsala today, we're going to need a couple of tablespoons of butter, a couple of tablespoons of olive oil. We have a quarter of a cup of marsala wine, a quarter of a cup of chicken stock. We have some diced shallots. We have some chopped up garlic. We have about a quarter of a cup of all-purpose flour. We have some salt, and we have some pepper. We have some cremini mushrooms that I went ahead and I already sliced. And lastly, for our chicken masala, we have our chicken. First thing we want to do for our chicken is we want to flip them over. And we're going to want to slice these breasts. I'm using my big cleaver because I find this easier to slice. And I'm going to go right through, and I'm going to butterfly this breast right in half. Just like that. I'm going to set that on the side. I'm going to do that to the other breast. Right in half. Now, I have our two breasts butterflied. I'm going to cover these in plastic wrap and give them a little pound. Okay, so I went ahead and I covered our chicken with some plastic wrap. Now, I'm just going to give it a pound to flatten out our chicken. I'm going to pound our chicken out until it's about a quarter of an inch to half an inch thick. Okay, now that our chicken's been nicely pounded, I'm going to go ahead and cut this into a couple of pieces. Cut each one into about 3 pieces. Cut 3 to 4 depending upon the size. Okay, so I cut each piece into 4s. So you got 8 pieces of chicken, nice small pieces, perfect for our marsala. And a nice size saute pan. I'm going to start by putting in some of our olive oil. As well as a tablespoon of our butter to start. And I'm going to get that good and hot. While our oil and our butter are heating up, let's take our chicken cutlets. And we're just going to give them a sprinkle of salt and pepper on each side. A nice little coating. Flip them over. And we'll do the same thing on this side. Okay, now that our chicken is all nice and seasoned, let's go ahead and bring over our flour. In a bowl. Let's sprinkle out our flour. Just lightly toss the flour out to just aerate it. On the flour, we'll put a little bit more salt, a little bit more pepper. Now, taking our chicken pieces, we're just going to go into the flour lightly, pat off any excess flour, just like that. And we're going to dredge each piece of chicken, just so it has a light coating of flour, just as we're doing. And we're going to go ahead and do this with all our pieces of chicken. Okay, so I went ahead and I floured all of our chicken. Now we're going to set this off to the side while we wait for our oil and butter to get hot. So our oil has gotten nice and hot. You can see our butter has just started to brown a little bit. Now we'll go ahead and add in our chicken. And we're just going to cook this for about 3 minutes or so per side. We want to get it a little golden. We want to cook this chicken through. So let's go ahead and cook our chicken. Okay, so looking at the chicken, you can see how it's starting to cook around the edges. That's perfect. We'll go ahead and flip our chicken over. You can see it's picking up just a little bit of golden around the edges. That's what we want. We don't want a lot of color on this. Just want a little bit of golden. We'll go ahead and cook the other side. So our chicken's been cooking on the other side for a few moments. I'm going to go ahead now and take all of our chicken out of the pan, set it off on the side. I got a plate on the side that I'm putting it in so it can rest. Into our pan with our butter and oil that we still have here. There's still a fair amount of fat, but I'm just going to add another tablespoon of butter. Just let that melt in. And while that melts in, I'm going to go ahead and add in our other 4 cutlets. And I'm going to do the same to these as we did to the first 4. And that should just take a couple of minutes. Okay, so our chicken is all nicely sauteed, so we're going to put this off on the side now, and we're going to focus on our mushrooms. We're going to pan back over. We're going to add a little bit more of the oil, and if it needs to, we'll add another tablespoon of butter, and we'll get that nice and melted into the pan, and we'll start by sauteing our mushrooms. I'm going to do our mushrooms in 2 batches, so this way we can get some nice color on them, and they can caramelize on one side. And I'm just working them in, getting them all nice and flat, that this way they're all coming in contact with the pan at least in some point. We're going to let that go for just a few moments. It's been just a few minutes on the heat. When I turn over the mushrooms, you can see how beautifully golden brown the edges are getting. That's exactly what we wanted. So now we can give these mushrooms a little toss, and we're just going to cook these until they soften. Now it's got a little color on the one side. Give it a little pinch of salt, a little pinch of pepper, and we'll just continue to cook these for just another minute or so longer. Okay, so I cooked our mushrooms on both sides. You can see how they really cooked down, and you can see how they really absorbed up all that oil in the bottom of the pan. That's perfectly fine. We'll take these now and transfer them into a bowl. And then into this pan, we'll put in another tablespoon of our butter and a bit more of our oil. And then we shall add in the other half of our mushrooms, and we're going to do the exact same thing. We'll fry them up on one side, get them nice and golden, and then we will flip them over. Okay, so I removed the last of our mushrooms from the heat. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in some olive oil into our pan, get that good and hot. Add in some of my shallot. I add in all of my shallot. Pinch of garlic. Shot of salt. Shot of pepper. And we're just going to saute this for just a few moments. I'm going to drop my heat now to medium-low because I just want to sweat these vegetables. I want them to get really nice and soft. And that should just take about 2 to 4 minutes. Okay, now that our vegetables have softened, I'm going to go ahead and take just a pinch of that flour that we breaded our chicken in that I had left over. I'm going to mix it into my oil here, just like that. And then we shall stir that in. Okay, we'll add in our Marsala wine. We'll let that cook down for just a minute to get the alcohol out of it. About a minute or two, you can see the alcohol is cooked out. It started to reduce. And because we added that flour, our sauce started to thicken. Now I'm going to go ahead, add our chicken stock, and just let that simmer for about a minute or two. So our sauce has been simmering away for a few minutes. Now what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and add in all of our mushrooms. And yes, there's a lot of mushrooms here because I really enjoy a lot of mushrooms with my chicken marsala. So I made it the way that I like it. If you don't like that many mushrooms, you don't have to put that many mushrooms. But I'm going to go ahead now and let this sauce just cook down for just about a minute. Okay, so our mushrooms have been simmering in our sauce for a few minutes. So let's go ahead now and we're going to nestle our chicken right into our sauce. Get it right in there. Get those mushrooms all on top of it. Just like this. Get all of our chicken in there. Nice. Nicey, nicey. Any juices that collected on the bottom of the plate that the chicken is resting in, put those into our pan. Give it a good toss. Let our chicken get nice and coated in the sauce. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this on the heat for just a little bit, let it simmer, let all those flavors come together. Okay, so everything's been sauteing together. Let's get in here and let's get a taste of that sauce that's on here. See if it needs any additional seasoning. I think you could use a little bit more salt. Just a tiny pinch more pepper on the top. We'll stir that in and we'll plate this up. Okay, so I got my plate ready. I'm going to go ahead. First I'm going to do is I'm going to lay all my chicken down on the bottom. Just like this. Roll that chicken down. Pour our sauce. That beautiful mushroom sauce of Marsala wine, chicken stock, shallot, garlic, mushrooms. Pour that all right over the top, just like that. Oh, doesn't that look delicious? What does it need to finish it off? Maybe just a little sprinkling of parsley just to give it some brightness. There we go. Chicken Marsala. Easy to make at home. You don't have to order it from the takeout anymore. Hope you enjoyed this recipe. I hope you tried it at home. Thank you for tuning in to PJ Cooks Sexy Food. We'll see you next time, guys.